Hello, everybody. This is Jacob Sapochnik, enchantinglawyer.com. This is a show where we interview the most inspiring entrepreneurs and business people from all over the world who inspire us to do our job better. And we bring it to you via this podcast. And again, today I'm doing something totally different. Last time I recorded a show live, the first time we had a live show at my office. But today I'm actually on the road. I'm here in San Francisco at the headquarters of Legal.io, a very innovative new company in the legal tech field. And I'm sitting here today with Tony Lai, the CEO of the company, and we're doing this show live. So we're going to do more of these live interviews over the next few months, and I just wanted to bring some new and innovative information to our listeners about new technology that can help you pretty much transform your practices and how we practice law. So Tony, I'm very excited to have to be at your place. Thank you for hosting me, and we're going to start the show. How are you today?
Jacob, I'm fantastic, and actually it's really great to have you here talking to some of my team as well, because frankly, listening to the way that you've set up your practice, listening to the frankly unconventional ways in which you've gone out and created something in your image, something that you feel passionate about, but also that you feel passionate about sharing, that sentiment, the way that you think about how you set up your practice is something that really inspires my team as well to do the things that they're doing. So thank you for coming here.
Excellent. So just a little bit about Tony. So Tony is an attorney turned educator and entrepreneur working to build systems that support community innovation, engagement, and sharing. And Tony is the co-founder of Legal.io, which I'm very excited to learn more about, a Silicon Valley-based company with a mission to help lawyers use technology to achieve their full potential. Tony is also the staff team at StartX, the Stanford Startup Accelerator, helping Stanford's most passionate, innovative, and talented founders develop as entrepreneurs through experiential education. And he's also a fellow at Codex, the Stanford Center for Legal Informatics, and was on the teaching team for the joint Harvard-Stanford class, Ideas for a Better Internet. And I can tell you that I met so many smart and innovative people here in this building. It's amazing. And so, Tony, I'm excited about the fact that you are an attorney. You're not practicing right now, but you understand what we go through to become attorneys. And in my mind, as lawyers, we learn the basics of law. We learn how to be a good attorney. We learn a lot of things that keep us confined in our platform. And I think what you're doing and what we discussed before is breaking away from that and trying to innovate. So I wanted to ask you, first of all, tell us a bit, what is Legal.io and why did you start it and what are you guys doing here?
Well, thanks for asking, Jacob. Legal.io is something that we literally have just launched this week. So you're the first person I'm really giving you this information about. And it's come off the back of 3 years of work that my co-founder Peter and I have been working on since we met at Stanford. That work has been addressing the problem of people being afraid of lawyers, and lawyers, frankly, like you're saying, having a lack of tools and really community and mentorship that helps them step outside of the boundaries of the traditional way of thinking what it is to be a lawyer. When I was a lawyer for 5 years in a large law firm in London. One of the big things that we saw was the profession was changing, and as individual lawyers, if we were confined to just working the way that we had always been on individual cases and trying to keep information to ourselves, people weren't going to be able to fully appreciate the value that we as lawyers can bring. Now, this is why we engaged and we connected like we did when we were at a conference for young lawyers down in San Diego. That's where we first met, Jacob, and we instantly hit it off because we shared this passion and this set of values, which is about sharing information. It's about putting information out there. It's about giving people the ability to teach themselves in a sense, but then realize that because you are willing to teach, you're an educator rather than a marketer. That's something that builds trust. Right. And that's, I think, the key thing that we as lawyers need to be able to project is that sense of trust. And to be able to create a platform that allows that trust to build up for a lawyer to really earn that trust and earn that credibility through being a giver, through sharing information, through being an enchanting lawyer. Right. I think that really is the key to how we as lawyers can, really thrive in the future. And the technology that can help us to do that is already out there. I mean, a lot of different industries have really sought to understand, in an age where information is so abundant, how can they really stay relevant? And I think lawyers will be incredibly relevant. I think all the people who talk about the end of lawyers, they don't really understand the value that a lawyer can bring. But that's our job as lawyers, to really express that value. And I think all of the different ways that we can use technology to really engage people and help them understand the value that we bring, that is what we've been working on the last 3 years as part of a company project really called LawGives. Mm-hmm. And that now is all being wrapped together into a new platform called Legal.io, which is where we're taking everything we learned from LawGives and we're making it available to all the enchanting lawyers out there.
Right. Excellent. So, if somebody, first of all, currently you have quite a few attorneys that are using the platform. So why don't you tell us in a more practical manner, what is somebody who is an attorney can see when they log into the platform? What are some of the benefits, and what are some of the interesting, innovative things they get by using this platform, and where are we taking it with?
So the first thing that we addressed was how are lawyers looking to build business. We wanted to try and address the entire spectrum of the technologies that the lawyer would need for their practices. But if they don't have business coming in, then the rest of their practice really cannot stand up by itself. So how do we bring business in? And the first thing that any lawyer will see when they set up an account for free on Legal.io is they'll see the different opportunities to get new businesses, bring in new leads. We actually plug into a lot of different entrepreneurial hubs right now, and we're working with different immigration organizations to bring those opportunities for business. But we want to go deeper than that, and that's really where I'm excited about the approach that you're taking, Jacob. It's not just about bringing in leads. It's about how do you create a sustainable flow of leads? How do you set it up so it's not just about the leads, it's about the referrals, and it's about the repeat business. And we've got some exciting things in the pipeline, hopefully, collaborating with the enchanting lawyer community, which can really, stress those referral and the repeat business side of things as well.
Right. And so the idea is lawyers that are part of the platform, they're able to use technology to, first of all, get better leads, but also be able to communicate with other lawyers, sharing cases, referring cases, actually literally building a foundation for sustainable business. And so I wanted to ask you, you have quite a few attorneys that are already using it as a beta. What are some of the characteristics of these lawyers that are already using it, and some of the things that they report back after using the system right now?
So there's a particular archetype of lawyer that we're very excited to work with, and that's the lawyer who is looking to leverage their own abilities beyond just what they themselves can do. I think with technology, the one of the key promises of technology is the ability to scale your impact. Now, if you as a lawyer, other lawyers who are passionate and care about the work that you're doing or the cause that you want to work with, our platform easily allows you to create that network, build that community around yourself. And that community focuses around the people who are involved, and that's the most important thing, but also around the content that you want to share. And it's around the services that you want to offer together. One thing that many of our lawyers who join our platform talk about is the sense of fear that, any professional would face when you step outside of the comfort of a traditional structure. Like, there's a lot of large law firms that provide a lot of amenities, but one of the big things they provide is a sense of belonging. If we can make it very easy for lawyers to get that same sense of belonging, that same sense of community and collaboration through using technology, but giving them more autonomy to set this up in the way that they want to do it, then that strikes at one of the key barriers to letting lawyers really lead happy, sustainable practices, in their own image.
Right. Now, what do you think, Tony, some of the lacking tools right now in legal tech? I mean, we know there's a lot of software right now that allows attorneys to manage their cases. We have software like My Case, Clio, and all the like. But I'm curious to know from you, from the side of the creator, working with brilliant minds like yourself and Peter and other guys here in Stanford, what do you think some of the tools that are currently lacking for attorneys, technology-wise, that could be improved, whether you guys are going to create it or just that you think are missing?
Well, it's interesting, Jacob. I think one of the key tools is just in being able to better manage your relationship with customers, and that it's interesting. Again, just picking up off your previous question, one of the things that lawyers who come to our site are looking for is not a sort of wham bam thank you ma'am transactional practice. They're looking to build relationships with their clients, and going forward, the future of real successful legal practices will be those lawyers who know how to build and maintain those relationships. And so I think one tool that is lacking really out there is this notion of how do we as lawyers make customer service a key part of our practice, so that those customers feel like you are as interested in their success as in taking their money, frankly. Clients are willing to pay good money for good service and good success and good success metrics. Having the information is not good enough anymore because it is a competitive market. But frankly, customers will keep coming back to people who they feel serve them well, treat them well, and have a good relationship with them. And that that comes from lawyers really being humans and stepping outside of this mentality that I need to just go through the processes. It's what do I enjoy? What am I passionate about? How can I express that to my clients? I'm passionate about your success and the things that you're going through.
Right. And I'm happy that you brought it up because I think that lawyers are too often focused on leads, getting more leads. I want to get more clients. And they don't realize that, we have all these tools like pay-per-click, and we have all these, marketing ways, funnels. But the key is if you're not able to handle those leads, if you don't provide customer service, if you provide value that is measurable, then over the long run, you're going to get burned out because clients are not going to be happy. And there are tons of lawyers that are being affected right now by bad customer service. For example, like not calling back, by not following up, but not delivering what they promised. That is becoming more difficult in our industry to provide quality service because attorneys don't understand that that's really what it is about. It's not about getting more leads. It's about perfecting customer service. And I think we discussed earlier today some great ideas that we will probably announce in the future some interesting things we'll work on together. But I do agree with you. Customer service and the tools to make it better are going to be the key for attorneys to succeed more.
One thing I want to pick up on is a discussion we were having earlier around how customer service is not just about the customers you keep, but it's also about the customers you turn away. You gave a great example of a lawyer who was very upset by a Yelp review that they got after someone they spent half an hour talking to, but then ultimately decided that they couldn't help. And by saying, "I can't help you, I'm too busy," that was it was frankly an abrupt ending, which left the customer or the potential customer with a very bad feeling, so bad that they left a bad Yelp review. Right. Now, what if that lawyer had a community of lawyers who she could rely on, who she could very easily refer that customer to and has already added value to, because you've spent an hour, talking to that person. Now you can take, the key parts of that data, make it available within the case, and then easily refer that out to your community. That then is a client who's thinking, wow, you just spent an hour helping me out. I'm not paying you anything, but you passed me off to somebody that you trust who is going to help me out, and I'm going to save time with that person because I've already spent time with you. Right. That then is a fantastic customer experience. Plus, you then have the ability to gain goodwill with the person you're passing that work off to, as well as potentially, continue tracking whether or not that customer was well taken care of. Right. And so this is all about this mentality that anybody who comes to you is somebody who could potentially be a customer in the future, or could be a customer for somebody who is going to be able to provide them with a fantastic service as well. And that's all going to reflect back on yourself. It's that notion of, always putting that ability to be enchanting at the forefront of your mind.
Exactly. And I think, again, this is something that is so powerful because, we get the, people who are not necessarily, we cannot help everybody. But at the same time, when the attorney cannot help a client, the idea is that, okay, I'm not going to get paid. You shut down and you don't continue to provide value because you know that he's not going to hire you. what if you said, you know what, I can't help you because of A, B, C, and D. However, here's another, 5 other lawyers who can. Imagine the value that you gave that client right now. Even though he didn't hire you, he's going to tell people, you know what, this guy's so nice, he referred me to some other people that could actually help me. So you didn't leave this meeting in a bad way. You actually left it with a positive way, and eventually you help somebody else gain service, and then they will refer somebody else to you. So the idea behind this is that technology helps us get the clients, helps us track it. But at the end of the day, we as attorneys must remain human. And that's another thing that attorneys must learn, that technology can help us practice law 10 times better. But if you're not human in our state of mind, then we're not going to make it, even if we have the best tools in the world. And Tony, I wanted to kind of ask you, as somebody who's been in the trenches in technology, how do you see legal tech evolve in the past 5 years? And where do you see the future of legal tech?
Well, that's a really interesting question. We've been Peter and myself, we've been involved at Codex, the Stanford Center for Legal Informatics, which has really tracked over the last 5 years the rise of this whole area. And I think some of the key developments that we've seen over the past 5 years have included the creation of branded networks where lawyers can sort of plug in and be a part of something more than a directory. This network actually provides access to services. We've seen, platforms like Avo really build out, and they're, again, helping lawyers to answer questions and also make their services more clearly available. Where the future's going, I believe, is where lawyers actually are able to take advantage of this technology for themselves, for their proprietary practices. So this, in a sense, goes one step beyond being part of somebody else's network, but really setting up your own network. And the reason why I think that's the future of law is because we've seen the legal landscape, it is transforming, and these networks that once existed, these big law firms, they're not having the same kind of holding power as they used to. In an age where individuals and businesses are, facing cost pressures, they're looking for ways where lawyers who are more agile, who can be more flexible, and who can make use of more technology to drive down their costs, but still provide great service. Clients from individuals all the way through to big businesses, they're all looking for ways that lawyers are being more effective and scaling their impact using technology. And I really think the ability to scale not just through technology, but through the human side of things is really where, we have a shared mentality. It's this notion of being a human as a lawyer. Being a human means talking to other humans, talking to other lawyers, finding other lawyers who want to work like you and are willing to work with you and collaborate with you. And that's particularly important, I think, for the new generation of lawyers coming through. Young lawyers who maybe aren't getting jobs in large law firms in the way they used to, but really have this opportunity to connect with other lawyers and connect with more senior lawyers potentially, and really learn. But it's a mutual learning process, because in the way that older lawyers can pass on their experience and the trusted credibility that they've brought, younger lawyers can also pass up to those senior lawyers new methods of building community and engaging and providing customer service using technology. And it's a mutual value add, and that's the way that I think the future really is going to be.
Right. And, I like that you mentioned that the distinction between young attorneys and attorneys that have been, I wouldn't say older, but I'll call them more seasoned attorneys. So let me ask you this. One piece of advice for somebody who's just out of law school, just passed the bar, and they're thinking about starting their law firm, one piece of advice is to what technology they should start with. And then we'll do the same thing for somebody who's been practicing for a while and they don't feel that they're kind of stuck and they want to kind of jump in and use technology to jumpstart their practices. What would be that tool for these guys? So let's start with the young lawyers first.
So I think for young lawyers, there's a great range of practice management tools that are out there, from Clio to MyCase, which is something you use yourself, Jacob. Right. These will help you to run a virtual practice in terms of managing the clients that you already have. Now, I think that services like ours, Legal.io, services like Avo, they're really coming to replace the sort of the previous notion of just generating leads, which is what the previous generation of lead generation platforms were all about, whether it's Yellow Pages or Legal Match. I mean, they don't really provide that ability for a lawyer to really do inbound marketing, where you're putting content out there and you're drawing people in. So I'd really, from beyond technology though, I'd also think about the networks that you want to be a part of. And this includes both using social media to plug into different groups, but also the physical networks. There are places where you can go and build relationships and then business will flow. So that includes co-working spaces and incubators. If you're an immigration lawyer, that includes going to the places where they're receiving other kinds of services. I was just in the Women's Building in San Francisco. It's a center for all sorts of sort of organizations that support women's groups and women's rights groups. But there's a very viable sort of center there that supports them with immigration issues as well. And getting out there and meeting people like that, I mean, that's the kind of human technology that we're talking about.
Absolutely. And I'll add one thing for the young lawyers is even while in law school, embrace technology, social media, build your platform, connect with anybody, and build your audience. And as you graduate, you have something already tangible that you can use to send content to, and that will help you finding a job or starting your own practice. So I highly recommend it, encouraging building that audience early on. And what would you say if somebody who has been doing this for a while and they want to embrace technology, like an older attorney, what one piece of technology that could be beneficial?
Well, I think, again, thinking slightly more old school and not looking towards anything too fancy, but getting a virtual assistant, having a virtual secretary is something that can really free you up. I think even when I was practicing, having somebody there who was responding and picking things up straight away was in full time. It allows you to step outside from always being on call. And I think that's something that we discussed earlier, Jacob, is this sense that if you are building a practice as a very seasoned lawyer, you're doing it often because you are looking to have a more sustainable and manageable approach to your practice, which allows you to get closer to clients, allows you to spend more time with your clients, almost being more on their team, without the sense that they're feeling cut off from you. It's that greater communication, and again, part of it is about building those greater relationships. Now, having someone like a virtual secretary who's able to help you manage those relationships is very important. And again, if there is a platform that you can use in order to build your virtual practice up in a very smooth, flexible, and frankly quick and cheap way, then you should give that a go. Ours is one of those platforms that are out there that's free to try out. You can come on and you can build your virtual practice and start generating that content, plugging in your existing content and distributing that out there so that you are bringing in business. But there are many others out there. And I think that the core message is that this isn't now something that you can't do alone. This is very much now a world where the tools and the support structures are out there where you can set up and lead a more happy and sustainable practice.
And Tony, I think this is what you just said is perfect because, somebody's been practicing for a while and they feel they're stuck and they feel they cannot hire anybody because it's too expensive. These outsourcing tools are everywhere. In fact, I don't know if you heard, but just a few days ago, Odesk and Elance, who merged a year ago, they just rebranded as UpUp Work, which is a brand new platform. And they changed the CEO. They have and both of these companies are helpful for outsourcing, to get employees, get contractors, fairly reasonably priced, and you can use designers, you can use virtual assistants. I've been using Odesk and Elance as help for web design, for art. We even use them for some VAs, for some calling work. So this new platform they launched is going to allow people to make it even easier. So I think they know where the future is. So I think you just nailed it right there. So I do, if you feel that you need help, it's so easy to get a VA or somebody to help you. Click of a button, you get somebody. It's not expensive, and it will just help you scale your practice and make your life easier. So I think this is great, Tony. This is perfect. So you mentioned before that you have the platform is going to launch next week, And we have a special offer to the listeners of the Enchanting Lawyer podcast, where they'll be able to log in and set up free accounts. So why don't you tell us a bit more about that? And what we're going to do in the show notes, we'll have the link where they can do that, so it makes it much easier for them. And I'm very excited to hear from our listeners, to hear some of the feedback and some of the success stories once they are going to use your platform for free to take their law firms to the next level.
Yeah, so thank you, Jacob. I mean, there's two parts to this offer. The first part is that, yes, every listener of Enchanting Lawyer will be able to get a free trial, get their platform set up, and we'll be offering the full premium level support for every single Enchanting Lawyer who sets up a platform on legal.io. The second piece of this is that we're also going to be setting up a special Enchanting Lawyer platform, which every single Enchanting Lawyer is going to be able to join in addition to setting up their own. And this really speaks to the value of where we think these networks are going to bring home that sense of collaboration, that sense of cooperation, that sense of sharing, and the ability to have a community behind you, that real ability to belong. That's going to be not just about sharing best practices and sharing content, how to really generate leads in this new world, but it's also going to be about referral. It's also going to be about how you can go about setting up repeat business with the help of other Enchanting Lawyers as well.
Excellent. And we'll post all the links in our show notes to make it easier for our listeners to try this. And I'm very, very excited to try it myself. So, Tony, as we end our show, is there any last piece of advice that you want to share with our listeners? I wanted to thank you for an amazing breakfast that you prepared for us. Just so you know, we came here totally surprised, and Tony made us. Apparently, he's a good chef. So I'm very happy that we had a nice breakfast. So why don't you share with us one piece of advice for our listeners? It can be anything. Go ahead.
Well, I think I'm going to riff off something that you said earlier, Jacob, which was you heard at a recent conference somebody talking about how they make millions of dollars, but it's really about how you make that money matter. Right. I think going forwards, we are, with the potential of technology, going to be able to set up practices which are going to be very sustainable and successful. But at the end of the day, we want to make those sustainable practices matter. And I think being able to connect with other like-minded lawyers who care about the same issues, who have a similar approach to life as you do, where it's not all just about making millions of dollars, because at the end of the day, if you're unhappy and you're making millions of dollars, if you can't step away from your practice and you're making millions of dollars, you're not going to be able to make those millions matter. And so let's find a way to be enchanting, be happy, be sustainable lawyers, who really do thrive as humans as well.
Excellent. That was beautifully said. Thank you so much, Tony, for hosting us here. It was in beautiful San Francisco, in this beautiful house, and we'll post some photos of our visit on our blog as well. And to your listeners, if you have any questions or thoughts about this, email me, jacob@enchantinglawyer.com, and we'll see you at our next episode. Hopefully we can do more of these lives. Thank you for listening.